Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the sit-in movements, and we're fortunate to have with us to talk about the sit-in movement attorney Julian Blackshear. Attorney Julian Blackshear not only will give us some information about the movement from an historical perspective, but he will also give us some information because he personally participated in the sit-in movement. And of course, Attorney Blackshear, let me welcome you again to the show. You've been with us on a number of occasions, and you've given us excellent information each time. And what we'd like to do today is to talk about your participation in the civil rights movement and in the sit-in movement, and at the same time to have you to give our audience some information about your background and education and how you became involved in some of the things that you are now involved in.
Well, I probably need to answer your second question first. I'm the managing member of a law firm here in Nashville, Tennessee called Smith, Hirsch, Blackshear, and Harris in Metro Center. It's a legal limited liability partnership of 11 attorneys and 5 or 6 supporting staff and things of that type. And I graduated from Morehouse College in 1963 and graduated from University of Tennessee Law School after having fulfilled my military commitment to Southeast Asia and things of that type. And I came here to Nashville to practice law 34 years ago in 1970 with Senator Avon Williams for 4.5 years. And evolving from that experience, I was fortunate enough to be a part of the formation of a law firm that has culminated in being the largest minority law firm in the middle and eastern districts of Tennessee. Very frankly, it might be larger than western. I'm just not quite sure of that. So this is where I am.
Okay, and of course, you started off earlier dealing with the civil rights movement, and let's talk about the civil rights movement and how you first met that so-called civil rights movement, and give us some of the things that are associated with that. Actually,
it took place in my freshman year in Morehouse. I went to Morehouse in 1959, the first semester. And my second semester, my freshman year, the first sit-in demonstration occurred in Greensboro, North Carolina A&T, and if I remember correctly, it was February the 1st, 1960. And that brought to the forefront the kind of injustice that existed, where a person could not enjoy the simple act of freedom of purchasing a Coke and consuming a 25-cent hamburger simply because of his race. And so that kind of objection began to spread among the students. It got to Atlanta too, where Morehouse is located. And so that's how I got myself involved in it as one of the students, and I was kind of conscious about it. And I never was one of the students on the quiet side of the revolution. I was an actual participant in it. And as a result, I belonged to a student organizational movement formed by Julian Bond, who was a student in Morehouse, named Committee on Appeal for Human Rights. And you had a lot of the various student organizations throughout the South and various different colleges that had the independent student organizations doing these things and sit-in movement. They had it up here in Nashville and things of this too, with Diane Nash and so forth. So having said that, evolving from those circumstances, where the students got on the University of Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina in that same year in 1960 and formed a student movement called the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and the nickname was SNCC. And the whole purpose of SNCC was to coordinate, organize, and further sit-in demonstrations wherever they were needed in the South and in some cities up north. And so I was one of the original members of SNCC for that reason. And so when I participated in the first demonstration I participated in that led me to go to jail was a restaurant called Dennis Grill, a grill right across the street from Rich's department store in Atlanta. Now, we knew we were going to jail. So we already had our textbooks and everything already made. The professors knew what was going to happen. It was organized. Julian Bond was the director of communications at the time. And a guy named McGrew was the chairman of SNCC at the time. McGrew eventually turns over his chairmanship to John Lewis, and that's around about 1963. Well, that sit-in demonstration that day, we refused to leave. We were being subjected to the Georgia trespass law to say if you did not leave a public establishment at the request of the manager, then you're subject to being convicted for trespass, $1,000 fine, or a year in prison, or both.
Now, of course, let me make preparations for this first commercial break. But when we come back, we want you to explain that and the manifestations of that. And we'll be back with you following this very, very short commercial break. The sit-in movement